Hey guys, Mr. Hayes. We're going to walk you through a couple of things and then give you some time to work today. So, here's the opener. If you want to pause this first so you guys can work on it, that'd be great. If the factors of a polynomial of a function are x negative 8, x plus 2, and x, what are its zeros? So if you want to hit pause, go ahead and do that now. Otherwise, I'm just going to go through and solve it. Remember, if these are your factors, that means that my zeros are going to end up being, for each of these, you're going to set these things equal to 0. And then you're going to come up with your answers of 8, negative 2, and 0. It's going to be the numbers that you plug into each of the factors to make it equal to 0. And the reverse of that, and this is probably the more important part right now for what we're going to be doing today, if the zeros of a polynomial are negative 3, negative 1, and 5, what are the factors? And we're going to work those in reverse. So if x equals negative 3, if I add 3 to both sides, then I'm going to get that 0 like I have. So in that case, your factor is going to be x plus 3. So I'm going to get x plus 3, x plus 1, and x minus 5 for this one. And again, we talked about that for weeks. That shouldn't be that big of a surprise. So what we're going to talk about today is we're going to build off of the line division that we did yesterday. And answer keys are up online, so you can check those later. It's going to look like that. Isn't that nice? And so today we're going to talk about solving polynomial equations again, and what's going to happen when you cannot be factored by using division. We're going to solve them ones that can't be factored by using division. So like here, you're going to be tempted on this problem here, x cubed minus 8x squared plus 8 at 4x plus 48. And you're saying, wow, it's got 4 terms. Wow, that means I get to do it by grouping. And you're going to be like, wow, look, I can pull out an x squared. And you're all excited, and it's fun, and you're like, yay. And then you get to this one, and you're going to pull out a 4, and then you're going to be like, oh, man, that's not the same as the x minus 8. And you're going to probably cry a little bit on the inside, and you're going to, take a moment, and then you're going to be like, okay, not everything's going to be nice and easy. So what we're going to end up doing is we're going to use, we're going to give you a little bit of a hint, and then we're going to work on things from there. So we're going to tell you, at least initially, until we can start getting, a little bit fancy here, that, okay, so like in this problem here, 4 is a 0 of the function. And then we're going to use division to go from that. So like in this case here, 4 is a 0. That means that x minus 4 is a factor. And remember, a factor just means it's part of a product that you can multiply out to be whatever we're looking for. So in this case, we can actually divide this out like we did yesterday. So x minus 4 is going to be your divisor. And then the x cubed minus 8x squared plus 4x plus 48 is going to be what we're dividing into. And then we're going to go through that process that we went through yesterday. You're going to try to match up with that x minus. You're going to match up with this first term here. And then that's going to 0 out. And then you're going to subtract, divide everything else out, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so here we need to make sure I'm going to multiply this through by x squared, so that first term becomes x cubed. So x squared times x is x cubed. X squared times minus 4 is negative 4x squared. Here's the part that you do not want to mess up. You change the signs on everything because we're subtracting everything. This goes minus, this goes plus. And then you're going to simplify it. The x cubes drop. This becomes negative 4x squared because negative 8 plus 4 is going to be negative 4. And then the 4x and the 48 drop on down. And now we're just going to repeat the process. What do I need to multiply x by? Excuse me, that should be x squared up there. Favorite student points to whoever caught that. So, again, what do I need to do this? Because I want a negative 4 there. Well, or negative 4x squared. So that means I have to go with negative 4x times x minus 4. So when I distribute this out, I'm going to get what I need. Negative 4x squared, and I'm going to get plus 16x. And again, change your signs every single term. Don't try to be the hero. Every time, this is the one thing, I mean, people try to like, I don't need to do that. And guess what? They get it wrong. And if you think you're going to be the first kid in some 20 plus years of teaching who's going to be able to pull that off, you are probably wrong too. Now some of you guys are probably saying, Mr. Hayes, you forgot to write the minus 4x up there. You're right. I'm sorry. You just got so, impassioned about making sure you guys don't make mistakes because I care that much about your performance. Anyway, next term. So again, we have to match up the negative 12x. So negative 12 times x is going to give me negative 12x. So so that's going to be a negative 12 up there. Multiply this out, negative 12x plus 48. Hey, it matches up perfectly. That's kind of what we want. To be safe, we're going to change the signs. Sure enough, we get a remainder of 0. So that means that to solve this, we have one answer already. And now I have x squared minus 4x minus 12. And that's also going to equal 0. So now at this point, you can either factor that. You can use the quadratic equation. You can close your eyes and guess, though I wouldn't recommend that one very much. And this factors out into x minus 6, x plus 2, because you get a negative 6. Let me get my magic pen back. You get a negative 6x here, 2x here, for your negative 4x. So then at that point, this is going to give me x equals 6. This is going to give me x equals negative 2. Plus the original one down here, x is going to equal 4. How exciting is that? If you do that, the number of dates you will get will go up exponentially. Particularly if the person you want to date's in the math class or taking the same math class as you. All right, let's try another one. Same idea. So in this case, we're going to have 3 answers. We know we're going to have 3 answers because of the degree here. We know that one of our answers is this. So that's what we're going to use as our divisor. Going to make it look nice. So that means that the factor here is going to be x plus 3. So that's going to be what I'm dividing through by. Everything else goes here. Remember, if you end up skipping a degree, you have to fill that in with a 0, because you need the placeholder. So again, you can go through the process. I would encourage you to pause this, try it, and then double check it. I'm going to work through it slowly. Is it too quiet for you? I thought about yelling boo just for fun. All right, so we've got that. So technically at this point now, we do have the x plus 3 up here. And then we've got the 2x squared plus 5x plus 3, and all that equals 0. So now we just have to factor this out, if we can. And since it's all positive, notice I've got 1 and 2 here, 1 and 3 here. If it was if we had a minus 5x in there or something, we'd be good. But we don't. So you know what that means. Da 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 da. And if you're not sure what the formula is, look in your notes. You're big kids. You should have written it down. You don't always have to rely on everybody else to do all of your work for you. Blah, 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 blah. All right, so that means that this part here is 25 minus... You know what? This actually may turn out to be good. Maybe I missed something. Oh, well. That happens. Oh, duh, 2 and 3. You guys are like, Mr. Hayes, 2 plus 3 is 5. Yeah, well. Sometimes you may not see it, right? So anyway, I get negative 6 over 4, because that's going to just be 1, and then I'm going to, so here, negative 5 plus or minus 1 over 4, so I get negative 6 is equal to 4, and x is going to equal negative 4 over 4, so that means my other two answers are going to be a negative 3/2 and a negative 1. Right? Perfect. I hope you saw the factoring, because that would be cool. All right, I want to do one problem off your homework, and then from that point, I'm going to wrap this up. You guys can work, etc., etc., etc. All right, so here's your homework. Wow, Mr. Hayes, that looks so nice. I know. I blocked out number 2 for us just to give us some room. Same process. Get my pretty markers out. So that means that this is going to end up being used as x plus 1. So that's going to be my divisor. You know, I'm going to do that sideways, I think. So then I've got x cubed plus 12x squared plus 21x plus 10. Match up the x up to x cubed, so I need an x squared there. If you guys weren't sure about the long division, I have another video out on the website too. It's under yesterday's. Actually, I also think I linked it under today's, to be perfectly honest. We would have to verify that. You can also find this one under today, for those of you guys playing along at home. Please feel free to tell your friends. If you sell it on eBay or the link, just make sure I get a cut of that. All proceeds will go to the Lee Yonker Scholarship Fund. All right, so far so good. So again, now I need to match up that 11x. So I'm going to multiply this through by 11x squared, multiply by 11x. So that's going to be x 11x times x plus 1. You're going to distribute that out. I get 11x squared plus 11x. We're going to subtract that out now. Change your signs. Now, the nice thing is about on this thing, everything's going to divide out evenly, because since we're telling you it's a 0, that means that everything's going to divide through cleanly because it's a factor. And then that means that you're always going to have remainders of 0. So the benefit there for you, the consumer, is that you're going to know that it always is supposed to work. Okay? So like here, 10 times x is 10x. So I get 10x plus 10. Signs change. Get a 0. Life is good. So now you get to factor this. And this one actually does factor. I'm not going to goof this one up. So that means your other zeros are going to be x equals 10 of a negative variety and x equals negative 1. So my final answers, I've got negative 1 from there, negative 10 from there, and actually I have another negative 1 up there too. So there you go. How nice was that? I know you sit there and you look at it and it's like, wow, look at the colors. It's just beautiful. So anyway, balance of the time is yours to work. Obviously, you can find the worksheet and stuff out on the website. Remember, the shortcut there is bit.ly/WeGo ADVALG. So WeGo Advanced Algebra, abbreviate the Advanced Algebra. And I think that's about it. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate your patronage. Drive safely. Remember to tip your servers. We'll see you tomorrow.